Hello and welcome to episode 16 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft. Joining me, as always, my esteemed co-host, Chancellor Seth Martin. How you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, pretty good. I feel like you've used that one before. You called me Chancellor?
Have I? Who knows? I don't
Maybe
know.
somebody in the chat will know. Who knows?
Maybe. How's
Well,
how's your week been, my friend?
pretty good. Just staying busy, trying to keep up with the game. We'll get around to all that here shortly. But yeah, just more good stuff.
You
Living the
found
dream.
you found yourself a new sports league to keep up with as well.
Yeah, yeah. Watching some not volleyball, the Volts softball team, some professional women's softball. It's pretty fun. It's cool. Like just finishing up the World Series of softball, or at least college women's softball. Like seeing a lot of the players, like a lot of the seniors that were just graduating, and they've like just leapt right over into the pro leagues. And so I was like, oh, she was just pitching like every game of like 3 days ago. Yeah, it's been fun. That got the Switch too. I got really lucky and just happened to find a bundle with no pre-order, so I've been just kind of playing around with that some. It's been a good week.
So I assume you've been playing Mario Kart on it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Anything else?
See, my problem is like where I play so many things. Like kind of the big draw for this, like the console right now, is that it can run games that the Switch one couldn't run technically, right? Like Cyberpunk is like the big one that everybody talks about right now, or some of the big open world Ubisoft games like Star Wars Outlaws. My problem is I've played most of those games that I want to play already on other consoles. I haven't played Cyberpunk, but I don't know that I want it to be what I'm using my Switch for. What I have been using it for is Mario Kart World mainly. I never finished Pokemon Scarlet, and I just kind of bought that a couple years ago to dabble with here and there, like on trips and stuff, like family vacations when there's not a lot going on. So I finally finished that up. They had like a beautiful, I think it's like a 4K update. Just everything runs so much smoother. There are Pokemon popping up all over the place, and the overworld of that game. Played a little bit more of Tears of the Kingdom, like Legend of Zelda. It's great. It ran fine on the Switch One, but it just looks that much better on the Switch Two. I finished that story, but I never really cleaned up a ton of the side quests. So starting to go and kind of dabble around with that some, and it's kind of just like a Switch 1.75 for me right now. If the Switch OLED's the 1.5, but it's awesome. It feels great. The screen's huge, runs like a dream, and Mario Kart itself is just a ton of fun. So I have no regrets buying the console. I definitely do wish there was more on it for me right now, but also got the GameCube lineup. Like I never played Wind Waker, that Zelda game as a kid, and so that's on my list of things to do as well. I've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, that's my thing with the Switch is just well, you know me, like I'm generally only going to be into like a couple games anyway. I'm not a guy who's like playing 20, 30 things over the course of a year. But I mean, I want to play Mario Kart World. It looks fun. Is it like something to compel me to buy a console? No. So, I'll get around to the Switch 2 eventually. I know I will because I know me. But I am looking forward to that Xbox Ally Rogue or Rogue Ally or whatever it's called.
Something like that, yeah.
Because I've been wanting a Steam Deck, right? So that I can play some of my Steam games on the go. But this kind of combines all that into one. It's gonna run Steam and it's also gonna, do my
Yeah,
Xbox Play
I'll
Anywhere
have
stuff.
I'll have to see it. I've seen the thing. I just need to see it, I guess, in real life IRL. I want to hold it. I've read that it's pretty heavy, kind of chunky. I don't know if that's the thing that I really want. Like I love my Portal, I love my Switch 2. I don't know that I need an Xbox handheld, but of course, seeing it or when the time comes, it may change my whole perspective. Who knows?
Yeah, especially when I have one and I'm telling you how awesome it
Hmm.
is. And you're like,
Mm,
okay, I guess.
yeah, I'm the worst about FOMO.
This is Rival Banter. We get together every single week over here on twitch.tv/itishoagie and talk about all things Marvel Rivals. And then we push it out on podcast services everywhere the very next day, wherever you're listening to us. We appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you for listening. So make sure you're hitting that follow button, subscribing, and leaving comments. And we might reply to some of your comments from the week prior's episode, like we're going to do now, starting with a TikTok comment from SCGC Chambers, who commented on the video that we had talking about how if they should add a quick play minimum before opening up ranked at a new season. And they just said, I think they should add a filter button for quick play between convoy and domination. Seth, would you like a mode specific? You good?
Yeah, this cat's all over the place, man. He's a good cat. Like it could be cool. I don't know. Did Overwatch ever implement something like that?
No, they never had any like mode specific cues.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I get the idea of kind of like just getting good at like what you want to play, but at the same time, I feel like part of the competitive spirit behind ranked is that you're able to kind of flex between these different game modes and play them differently.
Mm-hmm.
So could having the choice there be awesome? And does Rivals have like the player count to probably make that work? Yeah. Maybe it's like a longevity thing. Maybe they're looking like way down the line. Are they really going to be able to fill multiple different types of lobbies, like for people that want to play everything or just one thing? And then how do you have 3 separate rank systems for that? So I don't know. It could be cool. It may not be something that like to hold your breath for. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see them do like a map voting system in the pregame lobby or something like that, which I know with like bans and stuff like that, the pregame stuff is already kind of long. But if they were going to do anything where you could kind of select modes, I'd much rather it be sort of like a Halo 3-esque, give you a couple maps to decide from and you can vote. Or I think Call of Duty still does that too now.
Yeah, they still do that all the time. Definitely.
So you want to read this next one for us, which was a comment on the Wolverine Weapon X skin?
Yeah, from Eric, whose picture is conveniently Magneto. Eric says, I don't even play Wolverine, but if they do an Old Man Logan skin, I'm immediately buying it. Hell yes, my brother. I would definitely buy that too. Just so the chat knows, last week or the week before, whenever it was, we talked about the Weapon X skin. I had like 2,200 units last week because I'm playing with Luke, and I was like, well, I could get this Doctor Strange skin in a couple days if I just, keep grinding out for it, or for just 22, or actually, no, I think I had to spend a little bit of actual money, but I was like, for a few dollars, I could just get a few more gold currency. Well, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the currency now. There's too much currency out there in the world. I could just get some more
Units?
gold, not
Oh,
units,
yeah,
just the blue one. I could just get some more gold
sure.
and transfer it to units or convert it, and then I could get the 2 skins. So I got the Jeff skin, his like summer beach shirt skin. I really like that a lot the more I saw it in play. And then I've got the Weapon X skin. I played around with him because he's been part of some challenges that I've had, so it worked out. It's been awesome. I have no regrets. So and I love that comic arc as well, Eric. I didn't want to get too far away from that, trying to think of the name of gold, but yeah, that's awesome. I have like an Old Man Logan figure back there on my shelf somewhere, holding a little baby Hulk like he does in one of those volumes of the comic. It would be great. So yeah, I would be all in too, not as a DPS main.
Yeah, hold on one second, Seth. I think your microphone might be the wrong microphone. You might want to check that because when you turned away, I couldn't hear you.
It's the one I usually use, but
oh, is it? Because normally you've been using that headset, but
yeah, it's it's in the jack I usually use.
oh, there it goes. Yeah, now it's so sorry everybody if there was some audio issues there, but I mean I could hear you until you turned around, so it was all good.
Gotcha.
All right, he's back though, better than ever. All right, next comment is from HT Gut.
I'm
something.
thinking it's Gut Masher, and I feel like that's a sexy thing, but I don't know.
Oh.
I could be wrong. The spelling's a little off. Whatever. Mm.
This is a comment on again the video about there being us, suggesting if there should be a quick play minimum. They said that's stupid. They already made it, so you have to be a certain level to even play ranked, giving you a good idea of how the game works. They need to make it so you can't play a new character in ranked. They're suggesting until you're at least a knight. Um, I mean, I I get where they're coming from with this sort of idea. There's a lot of issues with an idea like this, right? Like, what happens if I queue into a game and I only have one character up to a knight and somebody else selects that knight, right? Like, am I just like fucked? Can I not play now? Like,
Yeah, that's a whole thing, and there's a conversation we're probably going to have a little later where we'll kind of dive into why that might be a problem. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely run into some issues with that. But I like like it kind of goes along with some stuff that we said last week for sure. Like you want to have experience, but at the same time, like it's a huge roster, and if you've only got enough experience with one character, you may and maybe the goal is to keep people from flocking to ranked as much, and that's fine. But also, I'd argue that's what the lower ranks are for anyway. So I don't know. Also, too, like you might get knight in season 1.5 and then not touch that character again until season 3 or 4. And
mhm.
so, if that's the case, that character may have drastically changed since you initially got that rank up, right? So I don't know how feasible that is long term. But like between seasons or something like that, sure. Like early on, that could have been a cool idea, but I just don't know how viable it is now.
Yeah, and I think for our idea about there being sort of a like quick play minimum, or even doing like somebody else in the comment, I didn't put it in here, suggested just doing placement matches instead, for the first 5 or 6 ranked matches or something like that, and then you get placed based off of like your individual performance in those placement matches. Um, I think my point at least was just familiarizing yourself with how the patch itself plays, and that gives people an opportunity to play the new characters, um, for sure. But it's mostly about making sure you kind of have a feel for how the meta has changed with that patch that's come along. But um, I I do like the creativity though of we've got this system of proficiency within the game. Is there a way that we can kind of use this to dictate uh what characters can be played in ranked? But I think this one just presents a few issues that would be challenging, because you would need at least like 6 nights before being able to safely jump into ranked knowing you can play a character. So
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I definitely like something different would be cool, but I mean that could take some time to. There are a lot of reasons why I think that one might not be the best way to go, but I think we're in the ballpark.
mhm. All right, you want to take this next one for us, which is on the same topic?
Yeah, Lexi IDFK, whatever that means, Lexi.
I
This is why
don't
Overwatch
fucking
gives
know.
yeah. This is why Overwatch gives us playtest weekends first with the new heroes, learn them and make adjustments to them before release. And yeah, I really dig that idea too, like just kind of having some time beforehand to play around with it. Now, will the filthy casuals, l- like I often am, always jump into those playtest weekends and things like that? I don't know. So like yeah, for the diehards, for the super fans, that could be a great kind of workaround. But again, like does that really reach everyone? Could be helpful, but I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
So I think the way that Overwatch does this now is it's not like in a play test environment. I think it's just a separate queue that has the new hero in it. So like it's still in your normal client. And people can correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a while since I've played a new season of Overwatch. So I agree with you. If it was like you have to download like a playtest client or something like that, you're going to have a lot fewer people interested in hopping in there. There's not going to be any single solution that's going to make sure everybody tested out a new character before they get them into ranked. Um, but I do think having a character available inside of a kind of isolated mode for a test so that you can, you know, get some data on that character. How are they being played? What are the win rates like? You know, I think that's useful, and it also gives people an opportunity to get their hands on it. One of the challenges in a playtest weekend like that, though, is that everybody queuing up in that specific game mode is doing it for the singular purpose of wanting to play that character, really. So you've got 5
Mhm.
people on in each game who are just kind of left out in the cold,
Yeah,
who don't get to play the character, and I imagine that can be frustrating too. The other thing with making kind of balance changes off of a playtest weekend like that is you're really only getting data from mirror matchups. And it's really hard to get any kind of useful data when all you're seeing a new hero playing in it is in matches when they're running up against that same hero. And we kind of saw this with Ultron in the first weekend that he was out, right? Where Ultron might maybe looked a little bit stronger in the meta because you were really seeing a lot of Ultron in mirror matchups against other Ultrons where Ultron's kind of gaps in what he does maybe didn't shine through nearly as much when you got him into different like into different games where you're not playing him into a mirror. You can kind of see those holes in his kit a little easier. So, but the one reply that was on that comment was from me from the Rivals account saying, I do think that is the best middle ground solution, right? Like isolated environments, test this character out, give people a kind of a time frame window to go in, test that character, get it out of their system to just kind of go in and throw games with a new character in a low risk environment and be good to go from there. But
for sure, man. I think the simplest solution is just common sense, but that's too much for many people to, like just don't jump into a comp lobby and insta lock the character you don't know, or that maybe if they've changed their kid drastically, maybe give it some time, give it 5, and adjust a little bit before jumping in. But hey, what do we know? We're just people.
mm-hmm. All right. Well, we appreciate all of the comments that people left on our videos last week. And if you want to have your comment read on the show, make sure wherever you're watching us, whether that's on YouTube or on podcast services or on our Instagram or TikTok feeds at Rival Banter, that you're leaving comments on the things that you want to talk about there. But let's move on and talk about our week in Rival. Seth, what did you get up to this week in game?
Well, we finally played a little bit more. We got a few more wins in comp, which is great. Haven't really grinded a lot more since then. That was what, 4 days ago, something
Yeah, a
like
few
that.
days ago.
Okay. Got those new skins, which was great. I dabbled in the Ultron Battle Matrix Protocol game mode. I think you've played a lot more of that than I have so far. I can still speak to it a little bit, but overall, just kind of again, like just quick play warrior, having some fun, just enjoying my time in the game. But I was happy to get back in and get a little bit more of that competitive energy out. Definitely looking forward later this week. I'm gonna be fighting the urge to get that new thing skin we're gonna look at here shortly.
You got your mag skin though from the combat chest, right? You finished your
Mm-hmm.
combat
Mm-hmm.
chest.
Oh, I've got skins on skins now, baby. Whatever.
I need this game to get cross progression and cross saves or whatever you call it because I want to play more on PC and because our boy Larry's playing too, and I want to play some ranked on both. Um,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I don't want to. I've got so much shit unlocked on console. I don't want to go play on PC and
Yeah,
have
it's a
nothing.
big loss.
So, I finally got Lord Mantis, which I'm very excited about. My third
Oh, I got
Lord.
Lord Thor. I got Lord Thor. I forgot
Oh,
to mention too. Yeah, so that's my fourth Lord.
nice, nice. So what's your next one? Mag probably.
Probably Mag's the closest for me. Yours is probably what, Emma?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah. I'm like high, not Centurion, but whatever's right before that. I'm blanking on the name, but
Captain.
Captain. Okay, I'm high Captain, almost Centurion.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'm like halfway through Centurion with Emma now.
Mm.
So yeah, very close with her, but I've now got my 3 strategist lords with Mantis, Invisible Woman, and Luna Snow. Uh, so yeah, that was cool. Played a lot of quick play. We played some ranked as well, and I played so much Ultron Battle Matrix Protocol, which is a clunky fucking name. And what would the UBMT like? There's no real great way to shorten it either. I don't know like how the community is referring to it via shorthand, but yeah, let's dive in and kind of give our thoughts on it. Me as somebody who's played like a lot of auto battler, I have like hundreds of hours in TFT, and I've played some like Dota auto chess and stuff like that. This is your first kind of experience with an auto battler, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it was fun. I played 2 games, which equals like an hour of time, which is a little wild. But I guess that's the thing with auto chess like this, right? Are they all like in your experience this long?
Yeah, yeah, but I do think that these games in this mode are kind of artificially long. Like I think there are ways that they can
Okay.
shorten this experience.
Are like the practice rounds a thing in other games too?
Yeah, yeah. So you always
Okay.
have these kind of like NPC bot rounds where you kind of get loot or upgrades to your characters, like in TFT,
Okay.
that's where you drop like items and stuff like that that you can apply to your characters. So
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I figured, but I mean, I don't know. I don't imagine they're doing anything super drastically new. But, yeah, it was fun. I played those two matches. I won the first one, which was a great feeling. Then I almost won the second one. I don't know what that guy did, but they came up from behind, and I got second place that round. So it was fun. I definitely didn't always know what I was doing, but I kind of just applied like just basic team comp rules. Like I'm running 2-2-2, so I
mhm.
had healers going on. I was trying to evenly distribute points across ranks or across roles and stuff like that. And I feel like that was a part of my success. But I'm sure that there are all kinds of different loadouts you can do, that you can run to make it feasible to win.
Yeah, so I think I've played probably 20 matches at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm like one top 3 away from unlocking the 2000 point reward or whatever it is,
Mm.
the like other emote. Um but and I think I've only not top 3'd in one match that I've played, maybe two.
Oh wow.
Um a- and I think that speaks to I think I don't know if it speaks more to the way that the mode is set up or the lack of familiarity with auto battlers, like with among the Marvel Rivals audience at large, right? Like, um, there's really no equivalent to this kind of a game on consoles, especially, right? Like, so for PlayStation and Xbox players who are just trying to unlock these rewards, like this is a completely new experience for them. And I'm curious from your perspective, Seth, like you maybe kind of knew what you were jumping into just from like some of the conversations you and I have had about what these things are, but you're you kind of were jumping in almost totally blind. Like, what was that first game like? Did you kind of like how confusing was it on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, I would go like 5. Like I feel like you get the basic idea pretty quickly. Like you're just kind of like setting up 2 team fights. Like you make your team, you're going up against other teams, and you're just kind of like you want the strongest comp you can possibly get, and with the characters you have. And does it give you random pools to choose from with your characters each time?
So at the start it's a random pool, and then throughout the game you can spend points to get a new random pool of a certain role that you can replace.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That's kind of what I was thinking from what I saw. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I think again, like it's kind of a cool way to play around with comps and like see what can work or whatever. There's a lot of math I think that goes into it if you want to get really granular with it. And I'm not that guy, but I mean, it was fun. I haven't like had the strong urge to go back and play it a lot more. I meant to get on yesterday, never quite found my way there. Meant to get on today, again, never quite found my way there. Just ran out of time. Haven't made it on Rivals today yet at all. But it is what it is. I think it's fine. I might finish my 10 matches before the event disappears. I don't know. It may not happen, but we'll see. I've tried it at least.
Yeah, I think the game really did itself a disservice by not doing at least like some sort of a tutorial to explain sort of what's going on with the game, because you just kind of press square to queue into the mode and you jump in and it's like, okay, pick your team comp, and you pick your team comp, and the sky's the limit, right? If you want to run 6 tanks, you can run 6 tanks, and then between each round you get these upgrades, and but like you have I mean, it's a standard auto battler where you can accrue interest, you get rewards, you get more tokens for like win streaks and things like that as well. So there's like, you have to manage your economy uh if you're wanting to do well and things like that. And so I think part of the reason that I've been so successful is like there's principles from TFT that I'm able to carry into this that not necessarily everybody I'm playing against knows, where it's like, hey, you don't spend all your coins after every single round. Like that's, you want to save up because you accrue interest on like your 50 units, you get extra coins, right? Stuff like that. That's just not really explained if you're not kind of hovering over stuff in the HUD and reading. But that's the other thing, is I've been playing a lot of games where like people start bitching in the chat about stuff that's happening in the game. And it's just clear that they're not reading the shit that they're buying. They're just like buying upgrades because they want to like reach the next threshold where they get a new buff, right? And so like I was playing a game the other day where this guy was like bitching because another guy's Doctor Strange just kept ulting over and over and over again. They're like, how'd you get 5 ults in a row? You're fucking cheating, blah blah blah. It's like, no, dude, no. Like, first of all, how would you cheat in this mode? Second of all, like, read the fucking cards that you're buying. Like, some of the cards give you a percentage chance to not lose your ult charge when you ult. Like, so that's all it is. But look, this mode is doomed from the start because it requires Marvel Rivals players to read, and I just don't think that's something they know how to do. So
We're gonna be bashing y'all a lot by the end of the episode, I feel like, but just with some of the stuff coming up here soon. But it's fine. It's not you, it's the people.
It is a lot of reading though, and I think they could maybe have simplified some of the language around the cards and stuff like that, and allow it to scale a little more naturally while you're playing. Because one of the things about so when you're playing TFT, you start, rather than picking an entire team comp, you start at a carousel where you just walk into one character, and that's your character that you start with. And then in between each round, you have the ability to purchase more characters to add to your board, up to a certain number of characters, right? And then and so like the whole game is kind of built around scaling the size of your team and the power of your team. And I think that that's something that I really miss in this Ultron Battle Matrix Protocol mode, is the kind of scaling of your team, and seeing your team get bigger and more powerful as the game goes on. Like, obviously you're getting more powerful with the more cards that you purchase and stuff like that, but I just feel like there's a lot of times where I'll lock in a comp in the very start of a game, and that's just the comp I'm going to run the whole game. Like, I'm not buying new characters in the middle of the game. I'm not, trying to counterplay somebody else on the map or something like that. Like, 90% of the games I'm happy with the comp that I settle on in the beginning, and that's what I run. And I also think it's just really easy to be like, okay, I'm going to get all tanks, and then I'm just going to buy every tank upgrade, and I'm going to top 3 because of that, and I see a lot of people doing that in lobbies and stuff like that. I've been trying to be really creative because I think that's the fun of these modes, is just kind of figuring out what works. I don't like going to websites and being like, best TFT composition, and then just like running whatever it gives me or whatever, like.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the lobbies I'm playing in, that's what people are doing. They're just like, they just read some Reddit thread that was like, here's the best things to run in Ultron Battle Matrix Protocol,
Fair.
So it needs some tweaks. I hope it sticks around though, and at least comes back around. I feel like they put too much work in it for it to just like not come back regularly. But we'll see. All right. Well, let's move on to the news. Seth, you brought it up already. We got 2 new skins coming this week. The Future Foundation Invisible Woman and Thing skins here. I love both of these. I think these are great.
They're both tight. I will be getting the Thing skin at some point. I don't know if it's like I'm gonna need to see the price, need to see the numbers. It's gonna find its way into my repertoire for sure. The Invisible Woman, like I don't play her too often, but again, looks good. I've already got the Reed Richards right. It'd be nice to have the set one day. I don't know.
Do you know the lore behind Future Foundation? Because I know it's not like Johnny, it's Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't, not really. I mean, I've always kind of seen them around, but seems like a cool arc. Definitely need to probably put it on my unlimited list for sure.
Yeah. No, I like these though. I don't have I mean, they're pretty I don't think these are going to be like the highest tier rarity skins, right?
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. The Reed one was what, like purple tier?
Oh, was it? I don't know. I should pay
I
more
think
attention.
so. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to keep track of, right? But I don't know. I mean, one or none could be. You know, like it kind of. I feel like it just kind of depends character to character sometimes within a set. But whatever it is, I'm down. I'd be fine. It just looks awesome by itself. I'd be fine with just the skin if the price wasn't too far off or was a little cheaper than the bundle price. But usually it's kind of hard not to buy the bundle.
Mm-hmm. We got a new patch coming this week as well. These patch notes are over on the Marvel Rivals website. There's a 616 day vault. It says to celebrate 616 day in the larger Marvel universe, we're launching the inaugural 616 vault event on June 13th. And for 1 week only, enjoy the return of exclusive limited time bundles. So they're bringing back some skins that were previously in the game for Venom, Magic, Rocket, Groot, Hawkeye, and Captain America. Here's those skins that you've likely seen in the game already, but if you missed them, you're going to get them again. So
Yeah, this is awesome. I love, like, again, like I'm a big FOMO person. Like I have that fear of missing out. And like eventually I just kind of give up if I know that I'm gonna miss out forever. Something like this, like it's a much bigger deal in a game like Destiny or something where you got to kind of keep track of a story over time. Something like this, they don't really like bar that off. They don't gatekeep it. It's mainly just skins here and there. But I love that they bring them back. I remember seeing these skins, and before like looking into it or asking friends, like being like, where did those go? I know I saw this like Robo cap suit around at some point. I remember seeing Santa Rocket and this funky horned Venom, but horny Venom, if you will. But I don't know where they go, and so yeah, it's good that they're bringing them back. That's I don't want it to be a gatekeeping thing. I don't want. Just let us get the stuff from time to time. Bring it back. That's all I ask. I don't need it to be there all the time. I don't need 1,000 items in the marketplace, but just give me the chance every once in a while to get what I missed if I missed it.
can I ask you a dumb question?
Sure.
What is 616?
It's pretty much. I don't know if that's the name of the Ultimate Universe. But it's just like another Marvel, like an alternate Marvel universe, pretty much. Marvel Earth 6. Oh, okay, so it's the first universe to be recreated in something. I lost the thing, but originally there was no multiverse. Apparently, that's the name of the Prime universe. I think after it gets remade at some point. So it
Gotcha.
sounds in typical comic book fashion. It's pretty convoluted.
Gotcha. Okay, I figured it was something like that. You know me. I'm not the Marvel lore guy around here.
Yeah, this is like deep. I'm just skimming the history. I've got the word. I'm just going to throw some words out there to you. First firmament, second cosmos, celestials. Know about them. Third cosmos, fourth Oh wait, the third Cosmos introduced narrative. The fourth introduced archetypes. The fifth magic. The sixth science. That sounds buck wild. Um,
Wait,
apparently,
those are the worlds? What are you?
I don't know. I'm just seeing words and phrases here that the paradise-like planet of Ta existed.
Okay, all right.
There's an entity, or the sixth incarnation was destroyed by Black Winter. Apparently, that's like a living thing. And yeah, and they
Mm,
keep on making. They're just like, I guess, iterations of the universe. I don't know.
yeah,
Somebody
I
tell us in the
gotcha.
chat. Yeah.
Well, so I looked it up on the official Marvel wiki about what 616 is, and this is what it says. It says Earth 616 has all the features of our reality: the same countries, same personalities, same historical events, and so on. However, it also features distinct ones, such as countries like Wakanda, Latveria, and Genosha, and organizations like the espionage agency SHIELD and its main arch enemy Hydra. Earth 616 is the mainstream continuity of the Marvel multiverse and where most of Marvel's comics take place. So it's like the main, I guess, is the main setting of the current iteration of the Marvel universe, and it's 616 is June 16th. So
Okay.
it's the same. It's the Marvel equivalent of May the 4th. So
Yeah, gotcha. That's cool. I don't. Maybe somebody else can explain this to me too. I don't know why, because these aren't like the typical appearances of many of these characters that I've ever seen before. So I'm not sure why this is like the prime continuity version of these skins. But maybe I'm misreading or misunderstanding something.
yeah, who knows, man. Well, I mean, this whole game is taking place inside of a alternate universe of
Yeah,
Marvel.
that's
So,
true.
um, let's see. We've also just got some regular fixes and yeah, some just some bug fixes on this. No balance changes or anything like that, but the new skins coming to the game and the 616 day vault coming back to the game. So all of that coming on the 12th. And then lastly, this is from the Marvel Rivals Leaks subreddit, and it is from the Rivals Info Twitter account. It says, new upcoming look at the lobby feature, change background. When this feature is active, you should be able to change your lobby background based on a selected skin. Still very work in progress, but that's what I've been able to gather. Below are some screenshots of some of the UIs, as well as an actual in-game concept I made of what it could potentially look like in the lobby. Um, this is cool.
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, again, like anything as much they seem like they're leaning more and more into personalization options, kind of making the game look like you want it to look, adding like emotes and moods and things like that. I haven't really played around with. Have you tried customizing any skins yet?
No, because I mean, it costs money as expected,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's more like kind of like the League skin chromas where it's like preset colors, right?
Okay,
So
okay. Yeah, it's not like that's not what I want, but I'm sure somebody out there does. So, like, awesome. I'm all for making the game like as accessible to anybody that as they want it to be, and kind of making it your own thing. And yeah, I kind of get bored looking at that just kind of dreary, triangulated background, like backdrop behind my chosen character. I just recently started switching things up. I looked at Thor for forever. I think I've got Mag on there right now. But yeah, like this looks awesome. Looks cool in concept. So I'm all for it. Bring it on.
yeah, and if this is just a part of like the skin bundles that they sell, I think that's cool. I wonder if they would add some of these like retroactively to some of the
Hmm.
like more premium skin bundles that people might have purchased. Um, rather than hopefully not making people go back and like purchase a background to go with a corresponding skin that they have. But um, I think it'd also be cool to just be able to like mix and match different backgrounds with different characters too. Like give
Oh
me
yeah.
give me cool like map concept art or something like that I could put there as my background. This game is it's a free to play game, right? They're gonna figure out ways to nickel and dime us left and right, but if it's stuff that we want and is reasonably priced, I'm all for it. And if it's stuff that they're gonna use to continue to fill out season passes and combat chests and Galactus gifts and whatever the pickup bundles and all the different other options that they're giving us, I'm all for it. So give us more of this kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I'm in like sin, baby.
And also that shit is bright as fuck when you're playing at night. So if I can get a darker background, that'd be great.
Mhm.
Are you a dark mode user, Seth?
I'm not. I feel like that's too comfortable for me. I get why people do it. I just I don't know. Like I need some contrast to. I guess it's still contrast, but I don't like. I feel like I'm gonna go to sleep if I
Yeah, you need the suffering in order to know the
not
joy in life.
just like a little like yeah, life is suffering. The Buddhist said, and you know something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I need the brightness to keep me engaged, I guess. But I get why it would be cool. I've played around with it a little bit here and there.
I understand. All right, Seth, let's jump into our topic of the week. And I feel like we've kind of touched on this topic before, but we haven't really, um, dove into it too much. But there was kind of a flashpoint among the Marvel Rivals community this week when the ever popular and how long is it? Ninja's been around forever at this point, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
feel like he was a kid at one point, and I don't know the age of Ninja, but I remember the blue hair. I remember like I don't know, like I feel like he's been around forever since Twitch has been around, right?
yeah,
And
basically,
yeah, like I feel like he's well, I mean, he is a grown man now. He might be more grown than I am. I don't know, but you know, yeah, familiar face.
yeah. Um, well, he put out about a 3-minute video, and we're not going to actually watch the video, but where he said he is going to be retiring from Marvel Marvel Rivals. And in fact, if you watch the whole video, it almost sounds like he's kind of considering what life might be like after hanging up the
After
headset,
streaming.
if you will.
Yeah. I you sent me this and I have weird attitudes about streaming in general, and I
Mhm.
say this ironically as a person doing a podcast in my basement about a game. But I don't know, like I get the appeal of streaming. I know why kids want to grow up and be streamers. Like you're doing something you love and you're doing it in from your home. You're maybe making, you know, lots and lots of money if you're doing it well, and if you can kind of form a community, if you can manage content and produce content regularly then and consistently, then yeah. I just don't know. Like I you run into this like I feel like in no matter what you do, like they tell you when you're young, at least they used to pick a career that you love. And you can do that. Like I went to school after high school and I studied English literature and read lots and lots of books and stuff like that. And like the thing about like I love reading, but when you have to read stuff that you don't choose for yourself, it's a lot harder to do. And when you have to teach it to people that don't want to do it anyway, like I don't know, like that's maybe a bigger life issue in general. But like when you choose to work with something that you love, it kind of runs the risk of, and I still love reading and all that crap, but it kind of runs the risk of like taking some of the joy out of it for you. And so it blows my mind that so many people like go out of their way to stream, which in theory is awesome, but when you get into it and you just kind of like spend more time on the internet, like you've got to deal with the people that he's talking about in this video that just go out of their way to make people's lives miserable, either through like he mentions I don't know remember any specific quotes or anything, but he mentions like people talking of trash just in either voice chats or typing it in match chat. People go in, I guess, where they know who he is, just going after like his family, like his loved ones and stuff like that, and they're trash talking, just really getting nasty about it. And again, I don't think he actually like gave specific
Mhm.
quotes about what the people had said, but he just kind of alluded to some things that had happened. People like going into his streams, like 6 hour long streams, finding clips of moments where he maybe wasn't performing too hot and like memifying that. Who has the time to do that? Like, who are you? And I realize I'm saying that somebody could do that to me right now. Whatever, go fuck yourself. But I like I it's a larger internet problem, like, on the whole, and
Mhm.
we're not gonna fix it today or anything like that by any means. Again, I'm just a dude in
Whoa,
my
whoa,
basement
whoa,
a
whoa,
cat's about
whoa.
to walk through
We
across
might.
my screen.
We might fix
Well,
it today. Stay tuned.
well, we'll figure it out. There goes the cat. Um, yeah, I don't know, like, this hit home for me just because, like, I don't know, like, I get the idea of, like, doing something with stuff that you love, but again, it's risky business. Like, this guy loves video games. Like, Ninja he's been doing this for, forever, right? And the fact that people are driving him to hate something awesome, and he mentions in the video several times, like, "I love this game. This game is so much fun." He's pretty good at the game. He's reached, like, Celestial, 2, I think he mentions for this season. He was,
He was
at
an
some
eternity
point
player. Yeah.
he was in Eternity, yeah, last season, I think. Like, that's great. That's better than most people, right? And yet people still feel the need to trash talk. It reminds me of like listening to teenagers
Yeah.
trash talk each other in ways that don't make any sense or have any rhyme or reason. And sometimes that's meant with love, but sometimes it's just nasty and wrong. Like, watch how you talk to people, you fucking lunatics.
Yeah. So
I'm done.
so real quick, just to recap the video for those who didn't get a chance to watch it. So Ninja came out and said he's retiring from Marvel Rivals, and the main reason is because the community has been so toxic. I'm sure you pieced that together from what Seth and I have already been
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
I took over. I just rushed
No,
right
no,
in.
you're good. You're good, man. But yeah, like Seth mentioned, he talked about how people stream snipe him and all that sort of stuff, but he's just kind of come to expect that. I mean, he's been playing video games for a decade on stream, and people have always been. But it's the people who get into his games and throw. It's the people who get into his games and talk shit. It's the people who clip his bad moments and turn him into a meme and all that sort of stuff. And he was talking about how just the community of Marvel Rivals seems to be exceptionally toxic when compared to other communities in gaming. And I want to talk about that here in a little bit, but I do want to I want to mention what you said, Seth, about like this aspiration for that kids have to like want to be streamers and stuff. And it's funny, like I'm not a streamer by any stretch, but I work in gaming, and when I tell people I work in gaming, they're always like, man, that must be awesome, you must really love that job. And don't get me wrong, I love what I do. What I do is cool. Like I've got to have a lot of cool experiences in my life, but most of my days I'm going to meetings and answering emails and like checking my Favreau board for like stuff I need to do. Like most days it's just a job, and it has its downsides. And like I think you people pursue certain careers because of the high highs, and they don't think about how those things might sour the things that they love. And there have been times in my life where like I don't want to play games when I log off work. Like I'm around games all day, and it's the last thing I want to think about. And when I first got into this industry, I really needed to like reorient my relationship with gaming through this lens, because at that time I was doing like PVA radio, and like I had turned all of my hobbies into side hustles and grinds, right? And it was like there was nothing in my life for me to just simply enjoy anymore. Everything was like content. Everything was, you know, a way to make money or a way to like step forward. And
Yeah, and that can be cool for a while, but I feel like it's gotta drain like when
yeah,
you start doing it for work, like, and you're doing it differently than you would if you're just doing it to chill, right? Like, you can't necessarily. Maybe you can just make content around you, like hanging out, just vibing, but like it's also hard too. Like, you've got to edit, you've got to not manifest. You've got to like manipulate social media and worry about algorithms and your shareability and stuff like that. I'm just making up words, but you know, it's a business, and yeah, I don't know. Like, I just can't see myself. Every time I've like thought, people like kids tell me at school, like, I would watch your stream if you streamed. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. It sounds miserable to me. Like just having people watch me and like do something that I enjoy and then saying weird things. I don't know. I would much rather just play in my living room, have a friend over, let's get some couch co-op going.
Yeah, yeah. But to the merits of what Ninja said, I do think it's kind of funny, right? Like, Ninja is not known for being a positive mental attitude streamer, right? Like, Ninja is not known for having a bad teammate and letting things slide on his stream, right? He's a guy who is going to have moments on his stream where he's raging, where he's flaming his teammates. You know, he has his moments of toxicity as well. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not a guy who sits down and watches Ninja streams. I can maybe count on one hand the number of times I've ever clicked into a Ninja stream. But I've seen enough clips of him, and to know that like the call's kind of coming from inside the house, man. Like, and this goes back to something I said on this podcast a few weeks ago, which is like, you got to build the house that you want to live in, right? And if you want to be a toxic asshole on stream, then you're going to attract toxic assholes watching your stream. And those are the kinds of people that are going to want to stream snipe you, and the kinds of people that are going to want to come in and ruin your games. And, if you say something out of pocket in one moment and it gets clipped, and that's the clip that brings people into your stream, those are the kinds of people that are hanging out in your stream that are going to want to do things to you when you're in a game. Like, so you can't have your cake and eat it too when it comes to being toxic in gaming, right? Like, do I think that there's a lot of toxicity in Rivals? Yes, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute. But I also think like, hey man, you can't flail your fists and hit people over the course of a 10-year streaming career, and then when it starts to come back on you some, be like, all right guys, I guess, I mean, sure, you can like step out, that's totally within your right, but like, I don't have to feel bad about it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I get like again, like I'm not a big Ninja super fan or anything like that. I don't think I've ever actually watched a Ninja stream, but I definitely don't like the idea of people doing that. But at the same time, I'm assuming that you're saying that he kind of has that element to his Twitch persona as well. Like
Yeah,
is
like
that kind of what
he's gonna
you're
rage, he's gonna flame people.
saying?
He might not necessarily
Okay.
throw games or whatever, but like he's gonna have his moments too, and he's built an audience off of moments like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that it's kind of hard. Like, I don't, yeah, you can't. If that's the case, like, you can't dish it out if you can't take it necessarily. And the thing about when you're that person, when you're the guy in charge, it's almost like being a boss or a manager in some type of way, right? Like you've got to manage that community, and
mhm.
if that's what you do, if that's what you allow, and that's what like incorporate in your persona as you're doing this performance every day, then that's kind of what you're going to bring in. If that's what you're going to do, it's almost like a monkey see monkey do thing, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, but it's a problem all the way across the board, right? I think people just need a crash course in how to communicate with other humans, what's okay
Yeah,
and what's not okay to say. There should be a class in school about that.
it's funny, man, because we've been posting a lot more over on like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, and like I love when people disagree with stuff that we talk about on this show, because first of all, like, we're just two dudes that play this game, and that's it. Like, those are our credentials, right? Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
we're not eternity players, we're not developers on this game, like, we're not big content creators, like, we're just two dudes that play this game and like it, and so we're going to get some things wrong. But the aggression that people just fly in with when they're given their feedback, I mean, that comment we read earlier from that person on the HT gut masher or whatever, who's like, that's stupid. It's like, you can make your point without being an asshole about making your point, like, we're not putting out anything as gospel, like,
Yeah, I mean, it's just some opinions, some possibilities, just some options. We're just talking. But I don't know. Like I also called people fuckers a second ago. So
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
it's
for sure. Like,
but a minute with levity, but whatever. It
and
I don't know. Like I just don't have like if I'm gonna be playing a game and enjoying a game, why bring that energy to it in general? Like again, we've mentioned it before. The likelihood that you're gonna go pro at this is not very high. Like if you're gonna like need to get heated and steamed and just like bring that kind of that hate and anger into a fun game and that like is supposed to bring you joy, why keep doing it? Just don't play the game. Like if it's gonna get you that upset, if like worry about maybe finding people to queuing that you enjoy playing with so that you can kind of get around that problem. But like don't let it make your life fucking miserable. There's no reason for that.
yeah, and I think there's two kinds of people in this lane. I think there's the kinds of people that show up into these games and like they let the game kind of tilt them, and like they might hop in a certain mindset, and then when things go awry, they start to get tilted. But then there's the other side, which is I think the side that Ninja's talking about and TimTheTatMan was talking about in his response that we'll get to here in a second, where it's like it's just the people that go in to be an asshole, right? Like there's no goodwill being put forth, like and no effort to be a kind person. Like they're going in simply to ruin other people's experiences and stuff like that. And I don't get why that's fun. So I'm going to admit this here. We're 16 episodes into this, and so I feel like with this audience that we're all good friends here. I love Queso. He's one of my favorite streamers. I watch him almost every single night. And Queso is loud and boisterous with his community. But every single time he queues up for a multiplayer game, whether it's, like Agario or Slither, or when he was playing Fall Guys and stuff like that, just the number of people who would try to stream snipe him just to grief him in game and like ruin his experience to the point where he's like, I'm not going to play these things anymore. Like I can't, it's not fun. Like, why am I going to play this when I'm just going to have 30 people stream sniping me, getting around my character and making it to where I can't do anything? And like, if your existence is purely just like, I'm going to clip farm this streamer, I'm going to, grief this content creator, like get a fucking life, touch some grass, like grow up, but if you're a streamer who speaks toxicity out of one side of your mouth, you can't turn around on the other side and be like, hey guys, can you stop this? Like, like you can't have your cake and eat it too, on that side of things. But TimTheTatMan, who's good friends with Ninja and plays a lot with Ninja, watched the video and responded to the video. And I wanted to point out just a couple things that he said in the video. It's like a 20-minute video, and we're definitely not going to touch on everything that he said in it. One of the first things he said, though, was like he sees a marked difference in the toxicity between Marvel Rivals communities and the other communities that he has watching his game. So, he plays a lot of Call of Duty. He even plays some Overwatch and stuff like that. And in the stream, he said Marvel Rivals is way more toxic than Overwatch is, and Overwatch is already a really toxic game. But one of the things he said is he's like, I rarely ban anybody from my chat when I'm playing Call of Duty, but when I'm playing Marvel Rivals, I'm banning 100 to 200 people every single time that I play. And that's a me.
People from his chat.
Yeah, like people from his chat. Yeah.
It's like what I don't know. Like, why do you do that? And so I think I remember like, my experience with competitive Overwatch was pretty limited, at least personally. Like, I watched a lot of it, but I didn't play a ton of it after a while. So like, I get it. Like, I remember how toxic that was. I remember hearing people all constantly complaining about how toxic Overwatch was. It was legendary, and I feel like because this is Overwatch, like we may start to forget over time, but the game is Overwatch just in third person. That's pretty much all it is. You can see your skins a little bit better that you purchase when you're playing the game. And the fact that it's a Marvel game, I feel like it just brings so many more people to the table. Overwatch itself, like as popular as it was and is, I guess, but especially when it first launched, it's such like even though it's awesome, even though it was a lot of fun and it was pretty revolutionary, I feel like at the time for a lot of people, it was still kind of a niche thing. Like it's not something that everybody was playing. And like even those that did, like lots of them probably put it down after a while because it's not the kind of game for them. But I think that just the fact that this game is a Marvel title just I kind of automatically opens it up to more people. And again, like the more people you get in there, the more weirdo toxic nonsense you're going to get in a community like that. So it's like not an easily fixable problem. It's just something like I guess to be aware of as you go in. Like yeah, I would definitely agree. Like I've never seen as many like just blatantly rude random weird comments that people have made, not even the funny ones, like,
Mhm.
those I can I can get along with, but when people were just, like, insta like, they're spending more time typing in the match than they are playing the game, like, what are you doing at that point? So, I don't know.
Uh, So I think it comes down to two things. I think the first thing is just like the people that have been watching Tim the Tatman play like Call of Duty have been watching Tim the Tatman play Call of Duty for years. So it's probably just like an older, more mature audience that like just isn't into and or all the people that would have been like that have already filtered out or have already been banned up to this point, right? Like
Mhm.
that audience has had more time to mature. I think that's one of the things. I think the other part is kind of maybe a broader aspect of Marvel Rivals. And uh first, this is just a younger audience base. Like the demographic of people that play Marvel Rivals, I think skews much younger than Overwatch, than Call of Duty, and those games. It's probably more akin to things like Fortnite or Roblox, right? In terms of the overall player base age. But I think also like not Marvel Rivals, Marvel in general, and honestly any of these like big kind of sweeping universes of franchises like have these like oddly gatekeepy like personalities within them to where like they're going to be toxic towards like your lack of knowledge about certain things anyway. And so a game like this that intersects like these two kind of nerd cultures of competitive video game and Marvel comics is just going to kind of create this like super organism of gatekeeping kinds of people who like, oh, you don't know all of the minutia lore about Adam Warlock? You must be the most fucking moronic person that's ever walked the face of this goddamn planet. What do you think? Who do you think you are talking about this game? Like, um, and so I think it's kind of maybe a combination of all those things creating this flashpoint of toxicity, and then just combine that all with the competitive nature of the game and the fact that people put way too much stock in like what their rank is.
Yeah, and like Tim the Tatman in that video where he's kind of like watching along, like as Ninja talks about those problems. He mentions what is it that I don't know. What was the line? Can't think of it. Big brain fart.
Where he was talking about one tricks.
No, it was another point than that. I forget. But yeah, I think you're right that you're definitely onto something with kind of like that kind of like big lore centric communities already. Like I know, like I've had a kid at my school like talking about the game, and he's like, I called, I was watching him play one day. Somebody in the match had I guess the skin's called anti venom because there's a character in Marvel called anti venom. It's basically like another symbiote character, and he's kind of like the inverse of Venom, like black on white instead of white on black. I just called that character White Venom in that particular match, and the guy's like, it's anti Venom. Oh, okay, it's White Venom. That's not the character anti Venom. That's totally somebody totally different. It might be the anti Venom skin. He's still Venom. I'm just calling him White Venom. He's like, but it's anti Venom, and I'm like, all right, that's you win. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's a very small example of that, but like why do you have to argue points that like aren't necessarily relevant or that matter? And that's like again, like you see that more in the macro if you're hanging around, I think, gaming shops and in larger online communities and things like that.
You know what I've become convinced with the more and more I read comments that are left on our videos is that people think low ranked players start at the rank right below the rank that they've peaked at. So like I'll read a comment because every time somebody like draws a line in the sand at a rank, it always seems so arbitrary and it's just all over the place. Like somebody left a comment this week that was like, this wouldn't be helpful for anyone silver or below. And I'm like, that is such a weird like line in the sand to like, why is silver the cutoff for where this thing would be helpful or not? And I've just come to the conclusion that that person is gold. That's all that means. Like that person is gold and he just thinks everybody beneath him sucks, you know, like, and people put so much of their identity into their peak rank. And it's like, look, I want to grind and get better and sure. And like, am I proud of the ranks I've achieved in this game? Yeah. But like, am I ever going to be like, oh man, everybody that's this rank and below must just be trash at the game? Like, no, they might just have lives, you know?
Yeah, it might just be hard to grind, you know, like you've got to work for those ranks. Unless you're just either really lucky, especially if you're solo queuing, like you've either got to be just like luck is a huge part of that. And yeah, like if you can play really well, you can carry in some situations, but some scenarios it's just like doomed from the get-go. So I don't know, like just be nice humans, people. That's all I got.
TimTheTatMan did mention something about one tricks though, and talked about how the one trick mentality is a big problem in Rivals, where you'll have a one trick come in and that one trick expects you to kind of bend all of the team decisions to their character, right? You need to play this tank, you need to play these supports, I need to have these team ups. If the comp isn't working, everybody else needs to switch and I need to stay the same. And if you guys don't do exactly what I need to do, you need to throw that I'm going to throw, because that was something else that Ninja talked about, was how many people in his games would just like switch to Widow and Black Widow and just like stand and
Jump up and
spawn
down and spawn,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that. It's one of those things like I just what do you do? Like I know I've run into that too where somebody's like, hey, this character and like you switch and I know I've said in the chat many times, no. Like just I don't want to. And then it's like, oh well, like why? I'm like, we've both said this many times. Like you switch if you need this character, why don't you just be the character? If it's to make you better, like if you're a witch and you're trying to get, you just want that like damage increase. You want like a Doctor Strange. Okay, great. That shouldn't be like the deal breaker for you playing that character. For like you can still play that character without the team up. It might make things way better. Awesome. But if you got a shitty Strange, what's the point? Like that's gonna detract from what you want. So I don't know. Like it's just know your role, know your job, and hopefully play the game enough to where you have diversity that you can flex. You don't want, like, if you're just playing one character all the time, you're not really playing the game. That's kind of the point of having these huge giant rosters. This game's eventually going to have probably 70 plus characters at some point. That if you're just playing one, you're missing out on like a big chunk of the game. Like you're just kind of like you're missing the point, I feel like, in a lot of ways. Do you need to know everybody? No, but at least be able to diversify a little bit. Like you're not going to do well long term if you can't flex and change, like kind of like fit what needs to be. I feel like I get bad about this. I'm a big trophy hunter in a lot of games. Like I will try to, I guess sometimes I get into this like almost job mindset where I'm like, I've got to check off all these lists, I've got to get all these trophies, I've got to grind it out, and I've got to do this thing, this thing, this thing. And that can kind of get not fun too. I feel like people do that with this game, chasing like Lord for different characters. Like I've got to work towards getting my Lord. And if you want to do that in quick play, more power to you. But if you're playing competitive, like sometimes you can't chase that lordship. You've got to do what you maybe don't necessarily want to do at that moment for the sake of the team. It's a team game at the end of the day. And so be willing to flex is all I really know to say. And this is coming from a gold 2 person right now. So whatever. I don't know. It's frustrating to talk about it at length, I feel like, because again, you're gonna start repeating yourself past a certain point.
Yeah. I don't think I have like an inherent issue with one tricks necessarily. Because like, look, if you just have like Spider-Man sheets and like, you use Spider-Man shampoo in the shower, and it's like I just want to log off work every day and go be Spider-Man in game all day. Like, sure, like have at it. But trying to get everybody to acquiesce to your will as a result of that, like that's where you kind of cross the Rubicon, and like it's the point of no return in terms of my respect for you. But it's like, look, I agree with you, Seth. Like if you want to take being good at the game like seriously, and you actually want to be able to climb and all that sort of stuff, your best bet is to know a good range of characters and be able to switch and stuff like that. But like I have no issue in you just having your character and wanting to play it, so long as you're not toxic about it. You're not the guy who's like coming in and being a crybaby if people aren't. Because like, look, I don't. When the Venom team up was a thing, like I don't play Venom, and I'm gonna be. It's going to be far more detrimental to the team for you guys to be down a tank with me just being a fucking cannon minion getting shot at as Venom every team fight, than the improvement you're going to get from having that team up, right? Like,
Yeah, and like you play at least 2, 3 other tanks that you can play quite well, on a match to match basis. So it's one of those things, like, just because you can't maybe play or you don't know one that well, as long as you've got some experience and some time in the game, then, there's a lot you can bring to the table. And the more you play, the more you can maybe work on flexing roles and, changing from lane to lane. And like we started off heavy support mains. We've kind of branched off. We're a big tank duo, baby. Like we've been crushing at the matches that we do play together. One of these days, I imagine we'll branch out and start working on our DPS, and then like we'll maybe then's when we'll be unstoppable. But I'm not going to hold my breath or anything like that. But again, it's just kind of like for the joy of the game and like getting more familiar with something that you really enjoy. And so that you're not going to see me streaming it anytime soon. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I'm going to say this. This game is not the most toxic game I've ever played. All right. I've played League of Legends and I worked in League of Legends esports. This is not the most toxic game that exists out there. So
yeah. The few like there were a few months when I first got this laptop, I was dabbling in it, and like just people get ridiculous. Like it's a complex game, and you're just starting like random non-ranked lobbies, and people are just laying into you. They've got that keyboard and they're not afraid to use it. Like, I'm shocked that many people still play this game, because like you're just gonna get dunked on and trashed like match to match to match. So
dude,
I
so my brother-in-law is the guy who taught me how to play League, and so like for the first probably 10 games of League that I played, I duo queued with him in bot lane. And the first game I was like, I'm gonna solo queue and I'm gonna play top lane, and I'm just gonna pick Garen because I've heard he's easy. And I went like 0-5 in the first few minutes or whatever. And I got called so many slurs by our mid laner in that game. And I'll tell you, and like, look, I'm sure there's filtering in Rivals or whatever, but I haven't been slurred in Rivals yet. So.
Yeah, not yet.
It didn't take me long in League to get there. So, but I do think that there is sort of maybe a toxicity problem within that there is a toxicity problem within Rivals, as there is with just all games. And I think we can sit here and old man at the cloud, shake our fist, and talk about the young generation who just doesn't have respect and needs to learn to talk to people, which I think is true. But are there things that Rivals them like NetEase can do in game to help improve the community? Whether that's game design, things within the reporting systems. Like, are there things that you see, Seth, that you're like, I wish Rivals had these sorts of things in the game to help with uh, the culture of the game?
Like we've mentioned it before in an earlier episode. I think that just kind of like helping people. I feel like still this is a game that people don't understand a lot of the time, even when you probably get into like silver and gold. And I would argue like even my time in diamond, like some people seem like it's their first day. And I don't know how they got there, with, like the way they're playing, but it's one of those things. Like I wonder if like if could you implement some kind of tutorial system that like shows different ways to play, different formats, different I don't know, different team comps and how they can jive, and just kind of like not the way it has to be played, but kind of like to give some ideas. Like here's kind of how like some ways that you can play a match, and with three tanks, two heals, one DPS. Here's how you can run an effective 2-2-2 comp. That I'm sure could help, but people are gonna be assholes no matter what you do. Like, I don't think there's any way that you can stop. I like that you've got the option to mute people if you're in game chat. Like if you're in voice, you can turn your chat off. I think it was Tim. He was like, "That's not any fun. Like to have to."
I don't get that.
And I'm like, like just go for it. Like I don't. Depends on I guess what you want from the game, but like if it's bringing misery to your life, just turn it off, and if you're solo queuing anyway, what the hell? There's no, why talk about it? And that maybe if you're in those high ELO matches or whatever, I mean, yeah, team comp and like communication's vital, but like if it's non-productive, might
Yeah.
as well turn it off, right? Like
Yeah, like Tim was
just
talking
block
about
it
that
out.
guy that was meowing the whole game or whatever. Did you get to that
Yeah,
part? And I
yeah,
was like,
yeah. I think
dude, like, why do you not want to mute that guy? Like, he's clearly not saying anything. What's the matter?
you didn't. That's not helping you out, brother. Like that's I don't know.
Because they can
So
still hear
that
you, you know?
Yeah, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. Like, I'm gonna mute it. I'm gonna get it as far away from my world as possible. And if you like agree with us, like again, like I don't think we necessarily. I'm not trying to be the old man shaking my fist at God, saying why are the youth like this, or why are people like this? Like, I get it, and I've done it before to some degree, as I'm sure everybody has that spent time online in some way or another. If you've changed your mind about how you want to act to people, like I don't know, like maybe it's not a NetEase thing, but maybe like just kind of think the next time you're like with a friend and you hear them say something weird and stupid, like what are you doing? I don't know,
Right.
like just like not call them out, but like why are you talking like that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've probably spent too much time around teenagers, heard them say weird, wild things to each other, where I'm like, for example, I'm doing an esports thing right now. It's loosely esports at the community college, and I'm listening to like rising sophomores talk to each other, and the amount of times that I've heard them tell each other to get it out of get it out your mouth, and I'm like, what do you want him to take out of his mouth? And they look at me, and I'm like, yeah. Why you gotta talk to your friends like that? I don't know. Again, that's probably more old man talk, but whatever.
Well, but I think that is kind of you bring up a point that I think you're making without realizing that you're making it, which is that like the way that people talk to their friends is the way that I think that people feel like they can talk to everybody in a lot of ways, where it's
Yeah,
like,
you don't know those people on the
yeah,
internet. Like,
yeah, like
like
y'all don't know me.
you might be talking to an 8-year-old, and talking about dicks and butts and racism and whatever. If you don't care, screw you. But like I imagine most people like imagine that they're playing with somebody with the same interests and same
Mhm.
personalities as them. And sometimes I think there's the attitude, well, if they don't like it, fuck it. But I I don't know. I think there's still should be common decency.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, like,
from
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you.
Yeah. So like I'm a community manager for a game, and so part of my job is managing the Discord server for my game, and through that I know a lot of the guys and a lot of the folks that are in that server just from interacting with them on a daily basis. But I'm not their friends, right? Like I'm the community manager here, and we chat and we talk, but we don't really know each other. And there have been times where people will be joking back and forth, and they'll make a joke about me or something that that goes a little too far, right? Where it's like, if you were to make that joke, you and I would have a great guffaw laugh about it, right? But like,
Mhm.
I am very quick to just be like, hey, like, you don't know me like that. You know? Like, um, somebody commented this on Tim the Tatman's video, and I think it's a really great quote that I don't want to fuck up. So I'm gonna pull the quote up right now. And so I apologize because Tim the Tatman's voice is gonna come through very loud here for a second. Oh no, I got the mute button quick enough. But it's a Mike Tyson quote. And if it'll load, I will tell you what the Mike Tyson quote is. But it is, social media made y'all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. You know? And I'm not a violent person. I'm a pacifist in real life. But I think it's true, right? Like we've all gotten way too comfortable with the anonymity of the internet and saying whatever awful thing we want to say to one another, and just knowing that, hey, when this game is over, we're never going to see each other again. And I can ruin your day, and that's totally fine, you know? Like, but we're back to shaking our fists at the clouds. So and we're kind of belaboring this topic. So I'll wrap it up with kind of some things I think NetEase could do a little bit more about the throwing and stuff like that. I think you could design probably a better system to find like statistical anomalies for players that, you know, stand and spawn and just jump. I think you could do, there's things you can do with your in-game telemetry that can detect players who are gaming the system of like not wanting to get the idle ban or things like that. You know, like if your character doesn't leave the spawn, even if they're just jumping up and down, the system should be able to detect that you were just throwing that game and do something about it. And the penalties for that kind of behavior should be larger than like a 5-minute ban, you know? Like,
Yeah, or like a 15-minute ban or something like that, right? And with those bans, I haven't really racked. I think of maybe it's happened to me one time. Like I had a situation I had to handle at mid game or something like that. I got kicked 15 minutes or whatever. But like, can you just turn your system off and then come back 15 minutes later, or do you have to actually have the game up for 15
no, I think you
minutes?
can just come back 15 minutes later. I don't think.
Yeah, like I almost feel like you should have to have the game up. It's like 15 minutes of game time. And I don't know, I'm not a tech person. I don't know how easy some of that stuff is to, you know, to enact, but gotta be something, right? Like there's got to be a way to, and you always worry about like stepping on people's toes when you're in when you're in a business, right? You don't want to push too many people away, but I think in a lot of cases something like this you do, like we don't necessarily want that people or those people in your house, in the
Mhm.
community that you're trying to build. So I don't know, I'm not going to convince NetEase to stop taking money from these people, the people, if they're, purchasing skins or whatever. But I don't know, like I think that, maybe I'm just at the point in my life, old man style, where I don't have time for that. I don't want it around me, and I don't have the patience for people that do.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they could do two things. I think number one, they can just ramp the penalties up the more you do it. Because if you're a toxic person that gets it once, you're going to get it over and over again, right? And it should be like
Mhm.
when you just keep guessing the password wrong on your phone, right? And it's like, oh, now you're locked out of your phone for 633,000 hours. You know, so if you just keep getting dinged on your account, like you should just stop. It should just, each instance should be more time, right? So I think that's the first thing you could do. I think the second thing that you could do is just mark people's accounts as being toxic and queue them all up together. Like, just make
Yeah.
levers play with levers, make toxic people play with toxic people, and, you know, like, just kind of make a Wild West queue for all of them, and you have to spend your time in that hellscape for a bit before the tag gets lifted off your account. And you know, uh you can get out of jail at some point. But yeah, like NetEase is never going to solve this problem. You were right, Seth. We didn't solve this problem by the end of this episode either. But um, look, I applaud Ninja for seeing that. Hey, this has not been good for my mental health. I'm not having fun with the game as it stands right now, and this is the reason why. And I'm going to say something about it. I'm stepping away from it. I commend the self-awareness there. I wish there was a little bit more self-awareness to understand that, hey, I'm creating communities of toxic people that are then coming back on me, and I should maybe take an assessment there. But yeah, we could just do better at large as a community in gaming to not find so much joy in ruining other people's days.
Yeah, I'm on board.
All right, Seth. Well, let's get out of here because it's 7 o'clock here, and that's old man bedtime. After a podcast like this,
Yeah, 10 o'clock over here. Yeah.
But what are you going to get up to in game this week?
I'm definitely going to be fighting the temptation to get that thing skin. Just definitely want to grind a little bit more out with you. We were going to play tonight. It got late, so probably not happening tonight. But yeah, just more, and more. I want more.
Nice. I am going to try to get up to 2,000 points. Like I said, I think I'm one top 3 away from getting past that threshold in Ultron's Battle Matrix Protocol. Yeah, more rank grind, and then just working more towards my Emma Frost Lord. So yeah, that's what I'm going to get up to. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Give us your thoughts on the toxicity in the game, on the new skins that are coming to the game, on Ultron's Battle Matrix Protocol, whatever you're thinking, let us know in the comments, and we'll read out some next week on the show. But until then, this has been Rival Banter. Thanks for tuning in. We love you. Goodbye.